What's up, everybody? Recording this, I think, on Wednesday evening. We'll put it right out as soon as I finish here. So you'll probably be listening to it on Wednesday evening. And wanted to jump on, tell you guys what I was thinking. Talk to you guys about a recent, card transaction that I was involved in, and kind of, what it had me thinking. Talk about the hobby in and of itself, right? I mean, there's a million times during these episodes. I don't know how many we've done now. Let's just round it down and say 1,100 episodes, where we say hobby like however you want. There's no wrong way to hobby. Buy what you love and all that other fun stuff. There's a lot of cliches, and I use the cliche to start to title the episode here: "Slow and steady wins the race." And I mean, I kind of mean that, right? Everybody with a crystal ball wants to talk about the hobby and what's gonna be like in a year or two or 10 and 10x this and 6x that. But one of the things that I think keeps me coming back and keeps you guys coming back to me is I have been here for a while. I've seen different cycles of the hobby. I've seen junk wax cycles, just like the junk slab cycle that we're kind of in the tail end of. I've seen a lot of people kind of, come and go, right? I've met a lot of great people, including some of the people who are within earshot of this and listening to this. It's funny. I thought of the hobby today. I was listening to radio as I was driving in my car, and there was a song. You probably all know the song. The lyrics, though, you might not know. I'm not going to sing it, right? But it made me think of the hobby for a minute, and I want to share that with you in the opening moments of what'll probably be just a 15-minute podcast here. It talked about mingling with the good people we meet, which I feel like the hobby has a lot of that, right? Culture Collision is coming up. I'm not going to make it to that. It's a little cold here. And if I'm going somewhere during the next month and a half, it's going to be to an island. It's going to be to a beach. I'm going to have some Cuban cigars. I'm going to have a little drink. I'm going to sit my fat ass on a beach somewhere and let my kids hang out in the sun and, just go out and leave it all behind. No offense to Culture Collision or to any other, card show that's out there. If I'm going away during the winter, I'm going away to sit on a beach. That said, people are going to mingle with the good people you meet. And for the last couple of years, there's been a lot of that, right? And there's going to be more of that in, shows, more of that in card store openings, more of that going forward. National in Cleveland. And no matter what you think of the hobby, no matter what you think of the cards you're buying, whether you're up, down, whether you even measure it in ups and downs, because a lot of people don't. They measure it in the good people that they meet and get to mingle with. Part of the fun that I have at the National, maybe the most fun I have at the National, is hanging out with people I don't get to see on a normal basis and, hang out at the hotel afterwards, go to dinner, bull about cards and, go through their case and look at this one. Oh, wow, you got a lot of soccer cards and, what do you think of it? And just have conversations, mingle with the good people we meet, good friends we've had and good friends we've lost. And that also made me think of the hobby. And made me think of the last couple of years of the hobby and cycles that I've, gone through in the hobby also. It made me think of my own collecting journey as a kid, collecting with my dad, who's no longer with us, switching it over to now collecting with my son, doing content with a partner and now not, having other people who, were involved in Luca's Tigers, Luca Nation, going off and doing their own thing. Yes, I'm talking about that Dallas Cowboy fan, Manny, among others. Everybody, I don't know if you know this, but take a look at Jordan Ferrone's page. That was the first producer that we had for our show. Dude's taking an ice bath like 403 or 404 days in a row, I think he's up to, and he's got like millions of followers now. It's pretty crazy what folks, are doing. He's basically like a motivational page now. It's pretty nuts. Take a look at that. But that's somebody I met from the hobby as a friend. There are hobby businesses. There's, all kinds of fun stuff that go. And, there's good friends we've had and good friends we've lost along the way, right? And the next line, right? In this bright future, we can't forget the past. Well, I think part of it is about the people, but part of it is about the cards. And this is, look, I went through all those lyrics. That was the line that kind of got me, right? That was the line that kind of got me thinking about cards because of, and, look, I didn't just do a Bob Marley, session there because I miss Andrew and, what Bob Marley represents. It's because that one made me think of a card transaction that I just had this week, right? And it leads into the title of, slow and steady wins the race. The future of the hobby, I believe, is going to be built on its past. And I believe there are lessons that you can learn from the past to kind of enjoy yourself in this hobby. Where I've gone astray the most is where I either don't listen to myself or I try to rush it. I try to make something happen too quickly because the hobby gave us that for a minute. Remember that? During COVID, you could buy something now. Literally, by the time it was shipped to you, it was worth more money and you could sell it for more. If you held it for a week, wow, you were patient. One game, boom, the thing could explode like craziness. It's just, it's never really been like that. And I don't know that it ever is going to be like that ever again. That crazy, quick flip, quick hit, quick turnaround on the cards. It's not something that, I think we're going to see anytime soon. It's not something that I think the hobby itself has really ever been built on. I'll tell you guys, the funny thing we used to say in the 80s was we're going to buy all the cards of the guy we like. Hope he makes the Hall of Fame and then sell the card when he makes it to the Hall of Fame. Think about that for a second. If you were buying a rookie like today, right? How many people are out there buying, let's use the flavor of the week, Jordan Love. How many people are out there buying Jordan Love this week because they're hoping to collect him, hold them, amass a Jordan Love collection throughout his career, watch him play for the next 10 or 15 years, win some Super Bowls, hang on to the cards that entire time, and then wait for him to retire, and then 5 years later, sell the cards when he gets into the Hall of Fame. That was what we used to think. I remember buying Cal Ripken cards thinking, come on, the streak. This guy's, he's the Iron Man. He's gonna clearly make a Hall of Fame. And when he does, we're gonna sell his cards. But what's funny about that is if you bought Cal Ripken's cards at any point leading up to today, the right cards, if you bought his cards, they're worth more. You bought his 82 tops or 82 tops traded, you got them graded, you got them in good condition, you bought those cards at any point in time during the last couple of years, they were up significantly. At any point in time during the 80s or 90s, you're up on them. And it made me think, slow and steady wins the race. So let's talk about that. Let me give you kind of my, my own little fun. Comparing it to trying to go out there and buy Kyle Lewis or the next flash in the pan. And guys, it's not just now, right? I did this as a kid. I can tell you guys, I can own up to it. People, oh, look, Wyatt Langford. Who? People go, there are breakers, they're going nuts. We pulled the product hit. Look at this Wyatt Langford. This dude might not be in the majors ever. Ever. He's years away from being in the majors, even if he's good enough to make the majors. Anyway, I can tell you from my own experience. In 1989, I was trading away my Griffey cards. He got hurt. Didn't win the Rookie of the Year. Jerome Walton won the Rookie of the Year. Not in the American League. He was a Chicago Cub. And I remember, I have to go find this. There's a Beckett magazine where Griffey's #1 upper deck has got a down arrow, and Jerome Walton, it was like in the extended series, has an up arrow. And they were real close in value to each other because Walton was this like, wow, what a great, second half of the year he had, just came up as a great rookie of the year. And I remember going to school, and I remember, the kids on the block, and I'd be like, I'm collecting Walton. Give me a Jerome Walton. He's a Rookie of the Year. He's going to be awesome. Forget about Griffey. I'll trade you my Griffey cards for that. I was trying to, amass Jerome Walton. So not every Jerome Walton pans out, guys. Right? Griffey was almost as sure a thing as possible, right? And, people who held on to their Griffey cards are doing okay. And collected Griffey rather than Jerome Walton. It's an interesting thing, Sometimes the collecting PC doesn't work out either. Just ask my Drew Bledsoe collection. But Griffey I bring up for a reason, right? There's a bunch of ways to do this stuff. I remember back in 2020, where people were coming back in the hobby. I had amassed a whole collection. I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to buy, a bunch of Griffey cards. Why? Could have bought Michael Jordan cards. I was buying some Michael Jordan cards at the time. I remember I bought a Michael Jordan Scoring Kings PSA 10. And there were a lot of them. Dozens of them in PSA 10. And I looked for cards that were similar to that. Cards that I liked, cards that were my style for Griffey. Because, I mean, you grew up in the late 80s, early 90s. Griffey was it. Griffey was baseball, synonymous. And one of the cards that I found was the Home Run Kings, sort of like a Scoring Kings. And, it had the foil on it, really cool looking card. It was ultra, just like, ultra Scoring Kings. It was sort of a cross between maybe Scoring Kings and Power in the Key. It wasn't as fluorescent as the Power in the Key. Didn't have the lightning. I think there's an RBI Kings. There's a Thunder kind of card for Griffey also. That's maybe more like the Scoring Kings. But this card reminded me of it, and I sought out high grade ones. The problem is there's only 3 PSA 10s. But back in 2020, there weren't a lot of people, buying and holding, really taking time and looking for these things. Everybody was, coming back in and looking for the quick hit. It was Luka. It was, Prism Basketball. It was all that stuff, which I was doing too. But I happened to find on eBay 2 of the 3 PSA 10s of this card, the Home Run King Griffey Jr. And I paid $238 for the last one. And because there were only 3 PSA 10s and I have 2 of them, I don't know where the other one was, they just never came up again. And I held it. And I have a ton of Griffey cards. I've sold some Griffey cards here and there, but I have a ton of Griffeys because that wasn't the only one that I bought. That was just one. I have a ton of Hot Gloves. Those were my favorite. Not numbered. And this card not numbered. It goes against conventional wisdom here of just buy the stuff that's numbered, right? So it's scarce. I don't think this Home Run Kings is a scarce card in all grades. It's definitely scarce in high grades because of the foil and the chipping and you name it. But I have other ones, like Hot Gloves were my favorites. That was a cool die cut, looked like a glove, the foil on those, on some of them. I love those. And the Team Leaders, even though the 92 was the first one, it was ugly. Those hold a special place. Jordan has one also. Emmett Smith has one. I got an Emmett Smith in my Arena Club vault. But it's those were like some of the first inserts. 92. I remember people going to shows. I was 15 years old. I remember people going crazy for them. You could only get them in certain packs. They were like jumbo packs. And Fleer was putting these, inserts in these jumbo packs. The baseball ones were in rack packs. I actually bought a sealed rack box. I opened it a few years ago. Didn't have a centered Griffey. It had a Griffey, but it was in pretty rough shape. But I remember those, and I bought those, and I have a bunch of those also. And you just lock them up. You just, put them away. There's nothing going on. And, it's, I sold one. I sent it over to my friends at Probstein. I sent Rick Probstein one, and I posted about it. And I listed it. And the $238 buy that I had in 2020, now in very early 2024, almost 4 years later, 3 years and change, sold for $1,800. $1,880, I think, was the pretty nuts. A 6-7x on your money over a couple years. Now, look, you can't do that with everything, and clearly this was one of those cool things. But what's the lesson learned, right? What's the lesson learned on that? By the right player. But in 2020, Griffey wasn't playing. It was just somebody that I knew folks collected and was going to remain somebody that people continue to collect. There are Griffey people out there. So how do you extrapolate that out? Does that mean if you're a basketball, buy Michael Jordan? Probably not. most of the Jordan cards that are out there, sorry about the background noise. I got a gamer now. He's 10. He's shooting people in Fortnite, I guess. I don't know. He's got a crew. He's got a little, headset on, and now I got background noise. So it's what happens. He's a gamer. This is what they do. But so, it's Jordan might be tough, but it's a similar thing. I mean, people who were buying these Jordan inserts before everybody kind of jumped on them, they're doing great. They're doing fantastic on those Jordan inserts. Maybe LeBron. Maybe there are LeBron cards that are out there now. I know there are people out there who are buying kabooms and downtowns and that kind of stuff, thinking that those might be the Panini stuff. Maybe golds. Cardboard Chronicles buying LeBron gold cards in all different years and variations. For baseball, I mean, come on, who's your guy? I mean, Ohtani looks like he's got the part here. I mean, Bryce Harper looks like he's going to be a shoe-in for some Hall of Fame numbers if he keeps playing and doing what he's doing. Mike Trout putting up some great numbers. Let's hope he's able to stay healthy. I look at for current players, Mookie Betts. But you don't have to look at current players. Football might be the easiest one. There is a collector base for Peyton Manning. If you're a Peyton Manning fan, buy your Peyton Manning cards and sit on them. You guys all probably know one or two people who do that. Doesn't mean you got to chase crazy. Keep in mind what I just said here. This is a Griffey card that I paid $238 for. That wasn't, the Michael Jordan Scoring Kings that I paid $12,000 for. And I enjoyed owning the Griffey. I still have one, and I'm not selling it. And that is the point. That is what makes me certain about the price appreciation of certain of these cards. If you find cards that are tightly held by people, that have a low pop, that are going to be difficult to pry out of someone's hands, and you're able to grab one, and you're willing to hold it, not just put it back on the market, like we see in every auction, every month, the same card. A card like that, the reason why, and look, $1,800, a lot of money for an unnumbered, Griffey insert. A card like that sells for what it sells for because there were probably two people who hadn't seen it come up for sale for nearly 4 years and wanted it for their Griffey collection. And when you get two people who want it, that's what happens. And that's kind of where I'm thinking. So a couple things. The most important part, right? Don't forget your past. Like Bob Marley said, slow and steady wins the race. Just take it easy, relax, enjoy it. No woman, no cry. That doesn't really make any sense, but I had to get the chorus in. It's an interesting way to think about it because there are a lot of people we've met and a lot of good people we've lost. And I am of the opinion that the good people we've lost don't have the same time frame or horizon that I'm talking about in this episode. They were not people who were looking to come in and build up a collection and stay and be patient and sit and hold their cards and let them appreciate slowly over time. Even my Griffey story of a 5 or 6X is crazy, and it's not something you should be expecting. Because, as Dr. Beckett would tell you, just listen to an episode he did with, I forget the name of the podcast, I'll look it up. But he did an episode on a vintage baseball podcast, and it was good. But basically what he's like, he said, people have to realize that, you're not going to be getting these, multiples on your cards. That's just not the way it is. Cards will potentially go up slowly. It was the golden age of cardboard. There you go. I apologize, guys. It was a good episode. Dr. Beckett was on there. And he talked about, he says, you got to get used to normalizing that cards are just going to be, flat to slightly up. But slightly up over time, long enough time is really up. And that's what happens. If you're checking your stock portfolio daily, you're going to see it go down today and up tomorrow and down today and maybe down and down and down. But if you're buying quality assets for the long haul, and no, I'm not comparing cards to stocks. Don't do that. You get in trouble for doing that. But you understand the point. Point being, Find something that you love. Find something that, if you're smart about it, that a lot of people love. Right? I love Devontae Graham cards, but I'm not buying them to hold for 20 years, hoping that they turn into anything. You know, you want to do that? That's fine too. I got some enjoyment out of that. My Drew Bledsoe cards are not going to amount to a hill of beans. Trust me, they are not. They're never going to be what I paid for them, even not even close. But I got some enjoyment out of building those collections, with my dad. So that was fun. But if it's something you want to buy and build for a long-term hold, that you are looking for potential price appreciation and you're willing to be patient, slow and steady wins the race. And I would expect that if you're here for the long haul, enjoy the people that you meet along the way, the good people you meet along the way, the ability to mingle with them at shows and learn from them, learn lessons that are being taught. And sometimes the lesson is not listen to this old gray-haired bastard telling you to buy the goats and sit tight. Sometimes the lesson is watching what the kids who come in do and learning what not to do. Anybody who's, buying Jordan Love this week, I'm talking to you. I don't buy it. I bought a lot of Jordan Love cards. I give up on that guy. I watch him play. I think what we're seeing is he's playing above his head. He's out in front of his skis a little bit. I think that Cinderella's chariot turns into a pumpkin this week, but we shall see. He's overperformed, and if I had any of his stuff left, I'd be selling it like yesterday. But point being, there are other lessons to be learned in the hobby, and usually those lessons are learned by people we're going to lose or people we have lost, people who are in a rush. And you've all seen slow and steady wins the race. Not that it's got to be a race, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And that's it. I don't want to go too long. It's 20-something minutes. It's just what I was thinking about today. After that Griffey sale, it had me kind of recentering my thoughts on the hobby, on the space. I listened to that podcast. Anytime you listen to Dr. Beckett, it's one of those things where you realize, just how small you are in this space, just how small I am in this space. And that there are people who are doing it way before I was here doing it, and there'll be people doing it way after. When you think about it that way, and what your role is in the community and how you curate your own collection and what you want to get out of it, you kind of get back to center, and you realize people will come and go. Enjoy it. Enjoy the people. Enjoy the relationships. Enjoy the friendships that you make from the hobby, because that is a huge part of it. Sit back every once in a while and learn the lessons that are out there to learn. I'm learning lessons every day in this space. Everything from what to buy, what not to buy, to where to consign, not to consign, to who to partner with or whether to partner with anybody. It's fun, sometimes humbling, sometimes, a real great and fun experience. Let's hope for more of that than the humbling part. But yeah. That's it, guys. I'll see you in a couple of days, and we'll chat again. Hopefully, I'll have another fun story for you. Less of the CJ Stroud, card show crying, and more of the, 4 years later, 7X on your cards. Hope that for all of you guys. Talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.